Here are my tips for learning German. My first tip has to do with gaining your vocabulary. If you're trying to memorize a whole bunch of words, you need to do it as effectively as possible. I mean, you don't need to. I definitely didn't, but it definitely makes it help. If I could go back in time and relearn all of the German vocabulary, then I would definitely have used this method, and that is Anki or Enki. Something that I learned in medical school, first of all, essentially just flashcards. But it's flashcards that are presented to you within certain time intervals, depending on how correctly or incorrectly you answered each one of them. You have different decks that correlate with different language levels, like an A1, A2, B1, B2. You can practice those words with the article. That's important in German, basically on a scientifically proven basis in the most effective way. If I were to go back in time, that's how I would do it. But that's not how I did it. There was no part of my methodology which was idealized or perfect. It was just consistent. My next tip has to do with talking to people. If you move to the country where you're planning to learn the language, it's really important that you speak to people who aren't just from your country. If you go to a language school or if you go to a preparative program, you will be put into groups with a bunch of other foreigners. Those foreigners can also come from your country. One of the lucky things of being an American is that you very rarely run into other Americans who thought it would be a good idea to move to another country and learn the entire new language and all of that stuff. So I was kind of forced to talk to people who weren't from my country. A lot of those people were German. A lot of those people were also those who couldn't speak English as well as they could speak German. And sometimes that's better. The Germans sometimes speak really good English, whereas like some guy who's primarily just trying to learn German and doesn't really care about English, maybe he's the guy that you really want to be practicing with. You're actually going to get the practice there. My third tip is my typical tip, is to recognize what your goals are, what your weaknesses are that are holding you back from achieving that, and working on those things. I hated grammar. I hated it with my entire heart and my entire soul, but I knew that. I recognized that that's the thing that I just kind of had to hone in on. Speak with confidence and work with consistency. I think you'll get there.